6 hyenas had formed a tight circle around a baby polar bear in the middle of an open clearing. The baby was small, no more than 3 months old, spinning in place and crying desperately for its mother, who was nowhere to be seen. The alpha male with the torn ear lunged, snapping his jaws right at the baby's feet. The cub leaped back and crashed into another hyena, which immediately grabbed its tail. I slammed my foot on the gas pedal, and the Jeep tore through the snow-covered bushes, its hood snapping frozen branches. The clearing was just a short distance away, and I saw a third hyena coming from the side, aiming for the baby's legs. A classic tactic: immobilize the prey, then tear it apart alive. The Jeep sped into the clearing. I grabbed my rifle and fired a warning shot into the air. The hyenas flinched but didn't run. They stopped about 20 paces away, beginning to howl among themselves. I jumped out of the car, grabbed a flare gun, and fired it directly under the alpha male's paws. The flare exploded in a red flame with a deafening bang, and the pack hesitated, but they didn't retreat. The alpha barked a command, and the hyenas turned, retreating into the snow-covered forest. I knew they wouldn't get far. The baby polar bear stood in the middle of the clearing, trembling all over. Blood dripped from its bitten tail, but the wound wasn't deep, more of a scratch. I approached slowly, trying not to startle it, and the cub suddenly took a few steps toward me, nudged my leg with its paw, and whined pitifully. The baby was completely alone, without its mother, without its family. Polar bears never abandon their cubs, but this one seemed to have gotten lost, strayed from its mother, and was now helpless in the middle of the snowy wilderness. Leaving it here would be a death sentence. The hyenas would be back within minutes. I pulled out my radio. Base, this is Kofi. I've found a lone polar bear cub in the eastern sector. No sign of the mother. I'm going to search for her. I'll be in touch. I needed to find the mother, and fast. I scanned the surroundings looking for tracks, footprints in the snow, broken branches, fresh marks on the ground. About 50 paces away, I spotted a series of furrows in the snow, larger tracks from adult polar bears, still fresh. The trail led northwest, toward the hills. I moved forward, and the baby bear immediately trotted after, trying to keep up every step. His tiny legs could barely match my pace, but he stubbornly stayed close, clearly afraid to be alone again. We followed the trail, and I kept spotting more signs: broken branches, claw marks on tree trunks, fresh droppings. The tracks led us toward the forest, where the trees stood bare against the gray sky. 20 minutes later, we reached a snow-covered riverbed, and I stopped. A herd of wild moose was grazing on the other side of the riverbed, about 10, with several large bulls standing guard. They noticed us immediately, and the nearest bull raised his head, staring in our direction. His antlers were enormous, sweeping wide with sharp tips capable of piercing even a wolf's hide. Moose are powerful, unpredictable animals, and now we stood in the middle of their territory. The bull snorted and took a few steps toward us, lowering his head. The baby bear pressed against my leg, trembling. I knew the rules: no sudden movements, no eye contact. I placed my hand gently on the cub's back and started moving left, step by step. The bull stamped his hoof, and the cub flinched, trying to run. I grabbed him by the scruff and held him in place, moving steadily. My heart raced, but I didn't speed up. Another bull joined the first, both of them watching us closely. We made a wide detour around the herd, taking a longer route through the snow. The moose gradually lost interest, returning to their grazing. When we finally reached the other side of the riverbed, I sighed with relief. The trail continued onward, through the snow-covered trees, toward a line of tall, gnarled pines. I picked up my pace, and the baby bear followed eagerly. Soon, I heard what I had been waiting for: the low growl of a polar bear in the distance. I quickened my step, and the cub trotted faster, sensing his mother. A mother polar bear appeared from behind a group of snow-laden trees, huge and covered in thick winter fur, with a scarred face that spoke of survival. The baby bear rushed toward her with a joyful cry, but something was wrong. The mother polar bear raised her head, sniffed the air, and let out a deep growl. The baby stopped, confused. The second bear approached cautiously, growling. They weren't mother and cub. I realized then we had been following the wrong trail. This was not the mother the cub had been calling for. Somewhere out there in the snow, his real mother was waiting. I turned back and retraced my steps. And then I saw them. 3 hyenas crouched on a distant ridge, watching us. The same pack. The alpha male with the torn ear. They had been tracking us this whole time, waiting for the right moment. I made a quick decision, choosing a narrow, almost invisible trail leading deeper into the forest. The cub followed me, nose to the ground. We emerged into a clearing, where I saw a lone, massive tree. Underneath it lay the mother polar bear, slumped, her eyes closed, her body covered in frost. The baby bear rushed toward her, pushing her with his tiny paws, whining. I ran to the mother, checking for signs of life. She was warm, but her breathing was shallow. An infection, a deep wound in her side was causing her to weaken. The baby bear continued to nudge her, but she didn't respond. I grabbed my radio. "Base, this is Kofi. I found the mother. She's injured. We need immediate medical assistance." I sat next to her, the baby curled up by her side. We waited. Soon, a snowmobile appeared in the distance, the vet team arriving with supplies. They worked quickly, examining the wound. It was deep, but treatable. The baby bear stayed close, watching, his eyes full of confusion and concern. By the time the treatment was finished, the mother was standing, shaky but alive. The cub ran to her side, and the mother bear wrapped her trunk around him, pulling him close. They were reunited, stronger than before. Over the next few weeks, I visited them every day, checking on the wound, making sure the infection was gone. The mother bear's health improved, and the cub grew stronger. A month later, I found them in a quiet part of the forest. The mother polar bear stood tall and proud, and the baby cub, now a bit larger, played at her side. They were a family again, safe in the heart of the winter woods.